All right, so today we're going to take a deep dive into cybersecurity. More specifically, something called Security Service Edge, or SSE for short. I know. Another acronym. But this one is actually pretty important. Think of it like a super smart bouncer for all your company's data, making sure that only the right people and devices can get in and access what they need, all while working behind the scenes, completely cloud-based.
Yeah, it's like having an invisible security guard constantly patrolling your digital world.
Exactly. And the source for all this is the 2024 report by Cybersecurity Insiders and HPE Aruba Networking.
Definitely worth the read if you're interested in this topic.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things that really jumped out at me from the report is that a lot of businesses, they're not exactly feeling confident about their current security measures,
Yeah.
especially with all this hybrid work going on. Speaking of which, get this, 94% of organizations now have a workforce that's primarily hybrid or fully remote. But here's the thing. Only 33% of those organizations feel really confident in their security team's ability to handle all of that.
Yeah, that's a pretty big gap, isn't it?
It is. It is.
It's interesting because when the pandemic hit, everyone had to scramble to adapt to this new way of working. But now it's becoming clear that this isn't just a temporary thing. Remote and hybrid work is here to stay, and it's presenting some unique security challenges.
Yeah, totally. It's not like everyone's just going to pack up their laptops and head back to the office anytime soon.
Yeah.
So how do you secure all these devices and connections when people are working from literally anywhere?
Right, exactly. We're talking about employees connecting from coffee shops, home networks, airports, you name it. And they're using all sorts of devices, personal phones, tablets, laptops, all mixed in with their work devices.
It's enough to make your head spin.
It really is.
So, okay, securing all these devices and connections is a huge challenge. But the report actually pinpoints employees themselves as the biggest risk factor, even more so than contractors or partners. That's kind of surprising, isn't it?
Well, it might seem surprising at first, but when you think about it, it makes sense. We're all human and we all make mistakes. Even the most well-intentioned employee can accidentally click on a phishing link or download some malware.
Right, right. We've all been there.
Exactly. And then there's the potential for insider threats, both intentional and unintentional. So securing workforce access is absolutely crucial in this environment.
You make a good point about unintentional threats. Sometimes just trying to get work done efficiently can lead to maybe taking some risky shortcuts.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where things get tricky because the report also emphasizes the need to ensure user productivity. Companies are trying to find that balance between keeping things locked down tight and making sure their employees can actually get their work done.
It's like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
It really is. And that's where this idea of zero trust comes in. Instead of just assuming that everyone inside the network is trustworthy, zero trust verifies every user and every device every time, regardless of where they're connecting from.
So it's like having that super smart bouncer we talked about earlier, constantly checking credentials and granting access only when it's absolutely necessary.
Exactly. It's all about verifying and validating every step of the way.
Okay, so it's all about verifying identity and granting access based on need, not just location. Got it. But let's be honest, implementing a zero trust strategy across a huge network with tons of devices and users, that sounds, well, complicated.
It can be, yeah. And it gets even more complex when you consider that 73% of companies are using 3 or more different security solutions. Imagine trying to track down a security alert when you have to jump between 5 different dashboards, each with its own interface and reporting format. It's a nightmare.
So instead of simplifying security, they end up with this tangled mess of tools that are hard to manage and even harder to make sense of. It's no wonder only a third of organizations feel confident about their security, right?
Exactly. And this lack of confidence isn't just a feeling, it has real consequences. A data breach can be devastating for a company, financially, reputationally, legally. It's not something any business wants to deal with.
No, absolutely not. A data breach can really cripple a company, especially these days when news travels so fast.
Right, and that's why SSE is gaining so much attention. It offers a way to simplify security, streamline operations, and improve visibility, all while embracing this new world of hybrid work.
Okay, so let's talk more about SSE and how it actually works. You mentioned it bundles different security technologies into one package. So what exactly is in this package and how does it address all the challenges we've been talking about?
So one of the core components of SSE is ZTNA, which we've already touched on, but it goes beyond just verifying identity. Imagine a salesperson trying to access a sensitive customer file from their home network. ZTNA would verify their identity, check their device's security status, and even assess the risk level of their whole network, all before granting access.
So it's like having a security checkpoint at every single entry point, making sure only authorized users and devices can get through.
Exactly.
Okay, so ZTNA is like the gatekeeper, making sure only the right people get in. But what about all the other threats out there, like malware and phishing attacks? How does SSE handle those?
That's where the Secure Web Gateway, or SWG, comes in. Think of it like an advanced web filter that scans all your internet traffic, looking for anything malicious. It can block access to known bad websites, prevent downloads of infected files, and even detect phishing attempts in real time.
So it's like having a bodyguard for your web browsing, protecting you from all the digital dangers out there.
Exactly. And here's the best part. SSE seamlessly integrates SWG with ZTNA and other security technologies like CASB and DEM.
Hold on, two more acronyms, CASB and DEM. What are those and what do they bring to the party?
CASB stands for Cloud Access Security Broker. It's all about securing your cloud applications, things like Google Workspace or Salesforce. It makes sure that only authorized users can access sensitive data in the cloud and prevents things like unauthorized sharing or downloading. And then DEM stands for Digital Experience Monitoring. That one focuses on the user experience, making sure your applications and services are performing well for everyone, no matter where they're connecting from.
So it's not just about security, it's also about making sure people can actually use the tools they need to get their work done effectively.
Precisely. By combining DEM with all the other parts of SSE, you get this really comprehensive view of security and user experience, which is crucial for creating a truly secure and productive work environment.
Okay, so it sounds like SSE brings together a lot of powerful technologies to create a much more robust and adaptable security approach. But I'm curious about the practical side of things. What are some of the challenges organizations face when it comes to actually implementing and managing these solutions?
That's a great question, and it's one that often gets overlooked in all the excitement about new technologies. Honestly, one of the biggest challenges is the skills gap. There just aren't enough cybersecurity professionals out there who can effectively deploy and manage these complex systems. Finding and retaining qualified talent is a major hurdle for a lot of organizations.
Yeah, that makes sense. SSE requires specialized knowledge, and those skills are in high demand. So what can companies do to overcome that challenge?
Well, it's not just about finding new talent, it's also about investing in training and development programs to upskill their existing IT staff. There are tons of great resources available, both online and in person, that can help IT professionals get the skills they need to manage SSE solutions effectively.
So it's about empowering your current team to take on these new responsibilities. That's a smart approach, especially with how competitive the job market is right now.
Absolutely. And it's not just about technical skills. Organizations also need to foster a culture of security awareness throughout the entire company. Security is everyone's responsibility, not just the IT departments.
Yeah, I love that idea of creating a human firewall. It really emphasizes that even with the most advanced security tools, human behavior is still a critical factor in preventing cyber attacks. We all need to be vigilant and aware of the risks.
Exactly. And that's where leadership plays a crucial role. Security needs to be a top priority for the entire organization, from the CEO all the way down. It can't be an afterthought or something that's delegated solely to the IT department.
It needs to be woven into the fabric of the company culture, right? When security is baked into everything you do, that's when you see real progress.
Precisely. It's a combination of technology, people, and culture. And getting all three of those elements aligned is crucial for successful SSE adoption.
It's not just a quick fix. It's a journey that requires ongoing effort and commitment. But the benefits are clear. Enhanced security, improved productivity, and a more resilient organization. In today's world, those are benefits worth striving for.
Absolutely. And as we continue to explore the world of SSE, we'll uncover even more insights and strategies to help you navigate this evolving security landscape. But before we move on, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned so far. What stands out to you the most about SSE and its potential to transform how we approach security in this age of hybrid work?
Yeah, thinking about what you said about the skills gap, it makes me wonder, what kind of skills should IT professionals be focusing on? Specifically when it comes to managing these SSE solutions?
Well, it's a bit of a mix of technical expertise and a broader understanding of security principles. You need people who are comfortable working with cloud-based platforms, obviously,
Hmm.
and configuring and managing, ZTNA and SWG solutions. And also, you need people who understand how to implement and actually enforce security policies. But it's not just about the technical know-how. You need people who can think strategically about security, people who can assess risks, develop mitigation plans, and communicate effectively. And I mean, communicate with both technical and non-technical stakeholders.
Right. So it's about having both hands-on technical skills and that ability to see the big picture when it comes to security.
Yeah, exactly. And let's not forget about staying up to date with the latest threats and vulnerabilities. I mean, this stuff changes so fast. The cybersecurity landscape is constantly evolving, so ongoing education and professional development are crucial.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like, you wouldn't want a doctor who stopped learning new treatments after med school.
Exactly. Security professionals need to be constantly learning and adapting.
Okay, so we've talked about how SSE offers this comprehensive approach to security, but I'm curious about how it actually works in practice.
Hmm.
Can you give me like a real-world example of how SSE might be used to protect a company's data?
Sure. So let's imagine a marketing agency with employees working remotely from all over the place. They use, a bunch of different cloud applications, things like Google Workspace, Dropbox, Salesforce, all that, to collaborate and manage client data. So with SSE, they could implement a ZTNA solution, right? That verifies each employee's identity and their device's security status before granting access to any of those applications. Then the SWG component that would scan all their internet traffic, blocking access to any known phishing sites and preventing downloads of malicious files. And the CASB that would provide an extra layer of security specifically for their cloud applications, making sure only authorized users can access sensitive client data and preventing, unauthorized sharing or downloading.
Right. So it's like having this invisible shield around their data, protecting it at every point of access.
Exactly. And because it's all cloud-based, the marketing agency can easily scale their security as their business grows or, their needs change. They don't have to worry about managing and maintaining like a huge on-premises security infrastructure.
Right. That's a huge advantage, especially for smaller businesses that might not have the resources or expertise for all that.
Absolutely. SSE makes enterprise-grade security much more accessible.
One thing that keeps coming up is this whole idea of zero trust. It seems like kind of a fundamental shift in how we think about security.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like, what are the key principles of zero trust, and how does SSE support those principles?
So zero trust, it's all about eliminating that implicit trust, and continuously verifying every user, every device, every connection. The basic assumption is that no one, inside or outside the network, should be automatically trusted. Trust has to be earned, and it has to be continuously validated through this process of authentication, authorization, and ongoing monitoring. And SSE, it supports those principles by providing the tools and technologies needed to implement that zero trust architecture. Like, take ZTNA, for example. It enforces these really strict access controls based on user identity, device posture, and context. And then the SWG component, that helps prevent access to any malicious websites or downloads, further reducing the risk.
It's about creating multiple layers of security, constantly checking and verifying to ensure that only, the right people and devices have access to the right resources.
Yeah, exactly. It's like having a security checkpoint at every door, every intersection, every single entry point. Might seem a little over the top, but in today's world, it's essential. I mean, threats can come from anywhere these days.
Right. And when you consider the potential consequences of a data breach, it makes sense. The cost of recovering from an attack can be huge, not to mention the damage to a company's reputation.
Absolutely. And the threats are always evolving. Hackers are getting more and more sophisticated all the time, looking for new ways to exploit vulnerabilities. Zero Trust and SSE, they help organizations stay ahead of that curve by adopting this more proactive and adaptable approach to security.
This whole conversation is making me think about security differently. It's not just about, firewalls and antivirus software anymore. It's more about a mindset, a culture of vigilance and continuous improvement.
I couldn't agree more. It's about weaving security into everything the organization does, making it everyone's responsibility.
And that's a powerful message. It's not just the technology, it's the people and processes working together.
Exactly.
So let's say a company is ready to embrace this zero trust mindset and start exploring SSE. What are some practical steps they can take to get started? Where do they even begin?
Well, the first step is to assess their current security posture. What solutions are they already using? What are their biggest vulnerabilities? What are their goals for implementing SSE in the first place? Once they understand where they're starting from, then they can start exploring different SSE providers and solutions.
Okay, so it's about doing your homework and figuring out what your specific needs are before you jump in.
Yeah, exactly. Not all SSE solutions are the same. Some might be more focused on ZTNA, while others might have more robust SWG capabilities. You got to choose a solution that really aligns with your organization's specific requirements.
Okay, so you've done your research, you've chosen a solution. What's next?
Well, then you need to develop a clear implementation plan that involves defining your security policies, configuring the SSE solution, and training your users on the new system. It's really important to have that well-defined roadmap to ensure a smooth rollout.
Right. And what about ongoing management? Once SSE is up and running, how do you make sure it's actually doing its job, protecting your data?
Ongoing management is crucial. You need to be constantly monitoring the SSE solution, analyzing logs, and making adjustments as needed. And it's important to stay informed about the latest threats and vulnerabilities and update your security policies accordingly. A lot of SSE providers actually offer managed services that can help with all that, which frees up your IT staff to focus on, other priorities.
So it's like having a dedicated security team constantly watching over your systems.
Exactly. And that kind of managed security approach is becoming more and more common, especially as the threat landscape gets more complex and the demand for, cybersecurity expertise continues to grow.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. The technical aspects of SSE, the challenges of implementation, the importance of ongoing management. But before we go any further, I want to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. How do you see SSE shaping the future of cybersecurity? And what are some of the key trends we should be paying attention to in the years to come?
Yeah, it's amazing to think about how SSE isn't just some new technology. It's really like a whole new way of thinking about security. We're moving away from just building walls and more towards creating this more dynamic and adaptable security posture.
Absolutely. It's like acknowledging that the perimeter is basically dissolving.
Yeah.
Security has to be embedded in every part of the digital landscape.
Yeah, and the report had some pretty interesting stats on SSE adoption. They mentioned that 69% of organizations are planning to implement SSE within the next 2 years. I mean, that's huge. What do you think is driving that kind of momentum? Well, it's a few things coming together, I think. Like we've been talking about, the shift to hybrid work is a big one. I mean, those traditional security solutions just weren't built for this kind of distributed workforce. SSE with the cloud-based aspect and the whole zero trust thing, it offers a much better way to do it.
Yeah, like it was made for this new way of working.
Exactly. But it's not just about adapting to hybrid work. SSE can also save companies money compared to managing a bunch of different point solutions. They're realizing they can, simplify their security operations, cut down on overhead, and free up their IT staff to focus on more strategic stuff.
Right. So it's not just about better security. It's about efficiency too, and making things less complicated. That's got to be appealing to any business leader.
Definitely. And as more companies adopt SSE and actually start seeing those benefits, the momentum is just going to keep building.
Like a snowball effect, right?
Exactly. And that's why it's so important for companies to at least start exploring SSE now. Even if they're not ready to fully implement it right away, the sooner they start educating themselves about it and planning for the future, the better prepared they'll be to stay ahead of the curve and protect their business.
Yeah, being proactive instead of reactive, right?
Exactly.
So I feel like we've really dug into SSE in this deep dive, explored the core parts of it, the benefits, the challenges, and how it fits into securing this whole hybrid work world. Hopefully our listeners have a much better idea now of what SSE is and why it matters and how it can help them build a more secure and resilient organization.
That was definitely the goal, to give our listeners the knowledge and insights they need to make smart decisions about their security.
Speaking of which, I wanted to remind everyone that this whole deep dive was based on that 2024 Security Service Edge Adoption Report. It's a great report, really packed with valuable data and analysis about, where SSE adoption stands right now and the trends that are shaping the future of cybersecurity.
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out if you want to learn more about this topic.
Absolutely. You can find it pretty easily online, and we'll also include a link in the show notes. So with that, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into SSE.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We hope you found it helpful.
As always, we encourage everyone to stay curious, stay engaged, and stay ahead of the game when it comes to cybersecurity. Until next time, stay safe out there in the digital world.
And remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to protecting your business and your data.